The thing about word problems like this is that one problem to the next can be very, very different. So that's one thing we want to keep in mind whenever we look at examples. The second thing is we need to read very, very carefully and find out what's going on in the problem. Not just what are we being asked to figure out, but how does the information break down? So in this problem, for example, a careful reading tells us that we have information about the total value of the tickets, and we have information about how many tickets were sold. We can see information here about how many tickets were sold. So we're going to need an equation for how many, and we're going to need an equation for the value of the tickets. So let's tackle value first. We see that there is a total value of $2,517.50. But that is made up of two things. It's made up of adult ticket and student ticket costs. So we know that there are two different prices from reading the problem. We have $5 for adults, and we have $3.50 for students. But of course it's not 3.5 plus 5. It's a certain number of adult tickets and a certain number of student tickets. So we've arrived at a point where we can define our variables. We now know what we are about here. So we have, let's let a capital A be the number of adult tickets. And let's not use S because my S's look too much like 5s. Let's call it C for child. How about that? Okay, now we can get somewhere because each adult ticket costs $5. So it's 5 times the number of adult tickets plus 3.5 times the number of children's or student ticket, because each ticket is $3.50. Notice what's highlighted in pink, those are rates. Notice that's one equation, but it's got two variables in it. It's got two unknowns, A and C. We can't solve an equation like that because there's lots of combinations of A and C that could work. So we need a second equation, and that's where the how many comes in. So the how many, now we want to direct our attention there. We have 100 more students bought tickets than adults. In other words, students is bigger than adults. Well, how much bigger? 100 bigger. So students, we called that C. So the number of tickets for students is 100 bigger than that for adults. And there's our two equations. Now we can set about solving those equations. Okay. I've reminded us what A stands for and what C stands for, and I've copied down our two equations. Notice we have two equations with the same two unknowns in them. That makes this a system of two equations with two unknowns. In many ways we could go about choosing to solve this. I'm going to choose to solve this by the method of substitution. Substitution as in to replace. Notice the second equation is solved for C. And notice there is a C right here. So we're going to replace this C with all of this. And it looks like this. There's C, that C right there, empty set of parentheses. And we're going to fill it with 100 plus A. We now know how to solve this equation because it only has one variable in it. So this tells us A equals 255. Well, A stands for the number of adult tickets sold, so this is telling us that there were 255 adult tickets sold. We don't know how many student tickets were sold yet, but that's not hard to figure out because this equation says the number of student tickets is 100 more than the number of adult tickets. So the number of student tickets is 100 plus 255, or 355. So we know that there were 255 adult tickets sold and 355 student tickets sold.